Welcome to another of our GST titled Philosophy and Logic. This material is from National Open University of Nigeria. My name is Dan Asukwo, your instructor. Are you writing any of the GSTs soon, or you want to improve your knowledge on philosophy and logic? If so, let us know on the comment section so that we can help you out. If you are a NOUN student or from any other universities, this will be very useful for you. Please do well to share it with others as well as on your study groups. If this is your first time of coming across our videos, why not do well to subscribe, like, comment, and share for others too to benefit. Module 3, titled Logic. Unit 1, Definition and Scope of Logic. 1.0, Introduction. The meaning and nature of logic as well as its relevance is crucial to the discussion of logic. Although it will require more effort from you, it remains nevertheless the best channel that will help you to learn how to think critically. Thus, in this study, you will learn the meaning, nature, and functions of logic, the various processes of logic and their classifications, common errors in reasoning that you would have to avoid, and effective techniques for evaluating arguments. 2.0, Intended Learning Outcomes. By the end of this unit, you will be able to logic in philosophical thoughts. 3.0, Main Content. 3.1, Definition of Logic. Let us begin by considering the origin of the word logic. Etymologically, the word logic is derived from the Greek word logike, meaning possessed of reason, intellectual, dialectical, argumentative. Fadahunsi Adegboyega, 2010, 94. Another account on the historical origin of logic says that it is from the word logos. Logos is an expression of reason or order in words or things, principle, mathematical ratio, thought, or simply word. Ogbinaka, 2000, 187. In the history of philosophy, Parmenides was the first ancient Greek philosopher that developed some logical principles, and these are the principle of identity and the principle of non-contradiction. His logical construct of what is and what is not gives rise to the Aristotelian conception of truth-functional logic, ibid. Although he did not label his inferential analysis a logic, but we can say that his metaphysical postulations provided the basis upon which Aristotelian and modern logic developed. Having discussed a little on the origin of logic, it is important to point out that, unlike philosophy itself, logicians seem to agree on what logic means or what it is about, although logic has been variously defined by different scholars. But then, all this definition points towards the same subject matter of logic. For instance, Aristotle sees logic as the scientific study of fundamental principles of human thoughts and the laws that underline valid thought processes and discourse. Uduigwomen and Ozumba, 1995, 155. Copy defines logic as the study of the methods and principles used in distinguishing good, correct, from bad/incorrect reasoning, 1972. On the other hand, Nancy sees logic as the science that appraises reasoning as correct or incorrect, 1990, 3.4. Kahane, on his part, defines logic as an attempt to distinguish between correct, valid from incorrect, invalid arguments, 1968, 2. For Moses Oke, logic primarily is the study of methods and principles used to assess the strength of the evidential link between the premises, supporting reasons, and conclusion, claims or arguments. Oke, 1999, 165, 166. Basically, you can notice that in the above definitions, the words which stand out clearly are reasoning and argumentation. Therefore, we can say that the study of logic is the study of correct and incorrect reasoning and arguments, or that logic is the science of reasoning. 3.2. Logical processes. Simple apprehension, judgment, reasoning, and argument constitute what we call logical processes. Simple apprehension. Simple apprehension is the act by which the mind forms the concept of something without affirming or denying anything about it. For instance, if I say, "Look at that ship," and stop there, this is a simple apprehension because I have not said anything about the ship. I have neither affirmed nor denied anything about the ship. Some philosophers and logicians have denied the possibility of a simple apprehension. According to them, there is nothing like simple apprehension. Judgment in logic. Judgment is known as the act by which the mind affirms or denies something of something else. For instance, if I proceed to say, "Look, that ship is big," then I have made a judgment by affirming the bigness of the ship. Reasoning and argument. Reasoning and argument constitute the third and last stage of any logical process. It is also known as the act by which the mind passes from one, two, or more judgments to a further judgment distinct from the preceding ones but implicitly contained in them. Besides simple apprehension and judgment, logic is strictly concerned with reasoning and argument. 3.3. The relevance of logic. Logic is of immense relevance, so it is very important to study it. It is the only discipline that strictly lays down the rules which the mind must follow to arrive at truth and thereby minimize, if not totally eradicate, error. In other words, logic works as a guide through the critical thinking process. As a discipline, it will also equip you with the skills needed for effective and forceful presentation of your views. It forces people to think about the outcome of propositions before they ask questions. You need to know that until a beneficial question is discovered, it is impossible to start the critical thinking process. Critical thinking involves asking many questions. The study of logic helps one to reason well by illuminating the principle of correct reasoning, explaining them, justifying them, and exhibiting their effective use. Copy and Cohen, 2000. Sir. It helps us to avoid claims for which we do not have enough reasons. It helps us to identify arguments where we might otherwise just see a set of unconnected or loosely related statement. OKE. 1998, 17 Bello, 2007-8, describes the importance of logic when he asserts that a training in is an important one for society like ours, which is aspiring to democratic life, because in a democratic society, persuasion, rather than coercion or force, is the method of winning others to one's point of view. And in the business of persuading others, arguments are important. But you must know that to logic is sometimes perceived by its critics as a subject that has no practical use. This is not true. The abstractness of logic does not make it irrelevant at all. Indeed, it is not contradictory to say that logic is to life what oxygen is to life. We all need logic in one way or the other, in one form or another. We all need logic to communicate and interact in the society. Even to be illogical presupposes a logical action or decision. 3.4. Logic and other disciplines. Logic is an important area of philosophy. It is the tool with which philosophers perform their task of philosophizing. There is no way you can determine correct or incorrect reasoning without constructing arguments. And logic, being that branch of philosophy that draws the boundary between correct or incorrect reasoning, is very essential to philosophers. Therefore, it is not even an exaggeration to claim that logic is to philosophy what mathematics is to the sciences. Logic is even at the background of mathematics. Apart from philosophy, logic is important to other disciplines as well. Any good sociologist, historian, lawyer, politician, physician, and so on requires the services of logic like philosophy. So long as there is reason for arguments, classification, and ordering of things, logic is always needed. As earlier stated, it is only logic that can bring light, the general laws and canons to which reason must conform. Otokpor passionately terms logic as the queen of all disciplines. 1985, 85, 98. To him, it is obvious that no scientist, historian, lawyer, engineer, etc., can afford to present his/her work in a disorderly manner and expect to be taken seriously because to be logical means to be orderly. 2005. 3.5. Classification of logic. Traditionally, logic is divided into two main branches, namely formal and informal logic. However, the study of logic has grown beyond these two to include prepositional logic, deductive logic, inductive logic, mathematical logic, Boolean logic, fuzzy logic, modal logic, deonic logic, and epistemic logic. Formal logic. Formal logic is the study of inference with purely formal content where that content is made explicit. Formal logic is often used as a synonym for symbolic logic. It is usually described as the logic of symbols and implication. Informal logic. This is the study of natural language arguments. The study of fallacies is an important branch of informal logic. The dialogues of Plato, 1976, are a good example of informal logic, mathematical logic. This refers to two important areas of research, and they are the application of the techniques of formal logic to mathematics and mathematical reasoning. And the other one is in the other direction, the application of mathematical techniques to the representation and analysis of formal logic. It is an extension of symbolic logic into other areas, to the study of model theory, proof theory, set theory, and recursion theory. Boolean logic. This type of logic deals with the basic operations of truth values. Deductive logic. It is concerned with inferential reasoning that follows necessarily from given premises. An inference is deductively valid if and only if the premise follows from the conclusion, or if there is no reason for us to accept the premises as true and reject the conclusion. In other words, the conclusion is derived from the premises, or that the premises provide adequate support for the conclusion to hold. Inductive logic. This is the opposite of deductive logic. It is a logical process where a reliable generalization from observations is derived. Inductive logical evaluation requires us to define a reliable generalization of some set of observations. To provide such definition, it may take the form of mathematical models of probability. The process is such that the conclusion in any inductive reasoning is not supported in absolute term by the series of observations made. Prepositional logic. This form of logic is concerned with testing the truth-value validity of propositions through logical rules and principles. These include truth table analysis, truth-value tree analysis, formal proof of validity, and deductions, fuzzy logic. This is related to fuzzy set theory in mathematics. It simply says that truth values are not limited to truth or falsity. In this type of logic, what we have are true, false, rather true, not very true, not very false, more or less false, more or less true. Alozi, 2003, 17. Modal logic. Modal logic deals with the phenomenon that subparts of a sentence may have their semantics modified by special verbs or modal particles. For example, we go to the games, and perhaps we will go the games. More abstractly, we might say the modality affects the circumstances in which we take an assertion to be satisfied. According to Delibalogun in Fadahunsi and Adegboyega, 2010, 102, the logical modalities of modality includes deontic and epistemic logic. Epistemic logic. This is the logic of knowledge and belief. It focuses on propositional knowledge and provides insight into the properties of individual knowers, which has provided a means to model complicated scenarios involving groups of knowers and has improved our understanding of the dynamics of inquiry. You need to know that this form of logic has many applications in computer science and economics. Deontic logic. This type of logic directly involves topics of considerable practical significance, such as morality, law, social and business organizations, their norms as well as their normative constitution, and security system. 4.0. Conclusion. There are different types of logic. These logics help in critical thinking and analysis. 5.0. Summary. To get the best of this unit, you may need to repay it again. Also, drop a comment on the comment section stating the important lesson learned.